Hi friends, my name's Louisa and today we're going to be discussing 5 of my biggest project fails. Now a quick disclaimer that all of these things I made within the first year of trying knitting and crochet, and a few hiccups are to be expected. But I'm hoping with these tips you can avoid wasting your precious time and money on just making silly little mistakes and not falling into the same traps that I did. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then stick around. So the first project I'm going to be talking about is my granny square cardigan. This was one of the first objects that I ever made. It's just this self-drafted cardigan. I saw a picture on Pinterest and I thought, yep, I can recreate that. And so I walked into the yarn store and I was overwhelmed by the colour choices. There was too much choice. And I walked out with pink, orange, red and grey. And whilst I love all of those colours, and I really enjoyed working on this because it was so clashy and fantastic and all the endorphins were kind of going whilst I was working on this, but I don't wear orange and pink, and I don't know why I thought I could wear orange and pink. And so this is why this item is a project fail. I don't wear it. I don't wear it at all because the colours are just not something I would ever gravitate towards in my wardrobe. So the first lesson is going to be choose and research your colour combos. What I should have done is I should have maybe looked in my wardrobe and been like, oh, I don't typically wear orange and pink together. Maybe this isn't a good idea, Louisa. Or maybe I should have gone on Pinterest and looked at some colour combinations and been like, oh yeah, that would go really well. So one way I could have done this is I could have picked one bright pop of colour and then kind of toned it down a little bit with a neutral or like a black or a beige. That could have really gone well. But instead, I did this. And the same goes for if I was making something for a friend or a family member and gifting it to them. Do they typically wear those colours? If I've gone out and bought something that I really enjoyed, like creating, but they would never wear it, then that's going to be wasteful. So do research into the colours that you think that person would like, you know that you would use. And just have a bit more idea rather than going into the yarn shop and just going in blind. Try and do your research because you will get overwhelmed. So the second project I'm going to talk about is this checkered vest. I am so proud of this checkered vest. I put so much hard work into it, so much maths, making sure that all the squares were uniform. But again, I don't wear it. And this time it's because of the yarn that I chose. I went for a cotton yarn thinking, great, this will be perfect for summer, really breathable, fantastic. And I bought the quantity I needed to complete this project. But as I was working with it, I realised it was incredibly rough and brittle and really rigid. So it has no give and no stretch, and it's incredibly rough on my skin. Which leads me on to our second lesson, which is put more research into the yarns that you want for your project. This yarn is fantastic and I would definitely use it again, but it's not suited for the intention that I had for it. This would be far better as a checkered bag. The cotton has a lot of rigidness, which means that that bag's not going to stretch. But for an item that's going against your skin, especially how I intended to wear this, I wanted this to be kind of figure hugging. And it can't be figure hugging because it just won't stretch over my body. It is so like tough. Like I literally, if I pull that, it's not going anywhere. So yeah, plan your yarns. And if you see that it's not working, do a little test swatch. Do you think this is suited for your project? And if not, don't be afraid to abandon early on and find something that's right for you. So the third project that I'm going to talk about is my crochet tablet. Now I had intentions of wearing this in the summer over a nice little vest top and it being really cute, but I don't wear it because in the UK it's either too hot or it's too cold, and because this is made out of acrylic, it made me sweat. So lesson number 3 is use yarns for the climate that you live in. This is just not suitable for what I intended. And yeah, I don't wear it because there's never a perfect weather condition that would allow for it. And the same goes for really chunky yarns. So like your Wool and the Gang and We Are Knitters have really chunky yarns. But if you live in a British climate, it's never going to be cold enough for you to warrant a really thick yarn like that. And so you're probably not going to get the use out of it. Although they're really fun, just think wisely. I think I've found out in the past year that I can't get away with anything chunkier than an Aran for like a jumper, otherwise it makes me sweat. So think a bit more carefully. So if I wanted to make this again, I would choose maybe a cotton blend yarn, something that had cotton, maybe a little bit of acrylic, something a bit more breathable, stretchy. Everything that I went wrong with here could have been resolved by a cotton blend yarn. So plan your yarns, guys. It's that simple. Project number 4 is going to be the marshmallow beanie. I have made this several times, but this was the first attempt that I did of this hat. And the issue being is that I swapped out the recommended yarn for something that I had in my stash. And the biggest thing that you are going to learn in your crochet and knitting journey is do a gauge swatch, especially if you're not using the intended yarns that the pattern maker has suggested. You definitely need to do a gauge swatch. Like, I can't wear this hat because it gives me a headache how tight it is, and that could have been easily resolved if I had done a quick little gauge swatch, measured it and been like, oh shit, this isn't gonna fit. And all I would have had to have done to rectify that would have been to go up a needle size or maybe add a couple more stitches, and this would have fit and I would have had no issues. But no, I was silly and I thought, nah, that'll be fine. I'll continue. I will continue and I will have a hat that I will never wear. Moving swiftly on, last but not least, project number 5, we have the Atlas jumper. And there is nothing wrong with this jumper, but I very nearly gave it away because it did not fit, which leads us on to our final lesson of the day. Wash and block your knits. I nearly lost out on a perfectly fine jumper because I thought it didn't fit correctly, and all I needed to do was wash it and block it and it would have been fine. I feel so stupid. Everybody tells you, do your gauge swatches, wash your knitwear. Did I listen? No. Sometimes you just need to live through your mistakes to realise that you've been a bit silly. But, you know, I won't do that again. So those were my 5 project fails, and hopefully those tips can help you to avoid making the same mistakes that I did. And if you do, it's no big deal. You're in the first year of your crochet or knitting journey, and it's to be expected to make mistakes, and perfectly fine. But hopefully you can live vicariously through me and just avoid them entirely. I took one for the team. You're welcome. So if you made it to the end of this video, then it would be lovely if you could leave me a little thumbs up and go and subscribe to my channel, where I hope to make more videos very, very soon. Go and follow me on Instagram at loopypasta, where I make lots more knitting and crochet content, and I would love to see you there. Take care, pals.